Hey there, so I'm here in the middle of beautiful Jasper National Park, Alberta, Canada, in the Rocky Mountains. And I work in Jasper National Park in the town, which is about 30 minutes drive south. And so this video is on the subject of geology and Atlantis. And this is going to make sense, a little more sense anyway, in a second. I wanted to get off the road in order to get away from the highway here, but there's too many trees, I couldn't get a view. So I'm sitting here staring at some mountains, at this mountain ridge here. That's my rental car out there. And as you can see, these are some trippy looking mountains. I mean, look at that. Doesn't that look like that was flat once and it got uplifted so that flat ground is now sticking straight up into the sky. And as you look along that jagged ridge there, it just looks like a hunk of earth that was suddenly turned upwards. Now, I'm a big fan of the book Cataclysm, which I forget the author's name. One of them, the last name is Delair. You can look on Amazon.com. It's a very amazing and comprehensive book that studies the various evidence around the world of a major worldwide cataclysm that happened roughly 9500 BC, so around 11 to 12,000 years ago. And they look at a very wide cross-section of evidence, from geology to plants and animals, things like glacial erratics, large boulders that are sitting in very random places, especially like in the Arctic. I've seen them in Alaska, these massive boulders sitting on the top of the tundra, and all the evidence of prehistoric creatures, saber-toothed tigers and mammoths and everything that are found all jumbled together along with other plants and dirts and rocks and things stuffed into crevices. This is all well-documented stuff, and so they basically look at all this evidence compiled by other researchers over the past couple of hundred years, and they paint a picture of this massive worldwide cataclysm that explains a lot of things better than the current theories about slow processes that have created the mountain ranges. My mentioning of the mammoths and saber-toothed tigers, the point there is that what it looks like is that it was water, massive amounts of water, that caused the phenomenon of these prehistoric creatures to be all jumbled together and then stuffed into these crevices, as if this massive flood came along the lines of the Great Flood described in the Bible, and water that picked up everything in its path and then rushed into cracks in the ground and brought all of the plants and animal matter along with it. This is just one little example of some of the evidence that they look at in this book. I really recommend reading it. It's a thick read, and it's just chock full of evidence. The first part, I think, discusses various myths around the world of the Great Flood and the massive cataclysms and fire from the sky and all of these different myths in various cultures around the world that talk about a great disaster that happened. So I was just driving along the road here and looking at this ridge here, and just can't help but wonder if here's another example of this massive catastrophe, worldwide cataclysm that may have occurred that resulted in the shifting of continents and the uplift of mountain ranges. And that to me does not look like something that happened over a slow period of time. If it was something that happened over the course of millions of years of this slow uplift, why would it be this incredibly sharp, jagged thing with straight lines, as if that was a flat surface at one point, and now has all of those straight lines still included, still there, all going in the same direction? and then with this just jagged ridge along the top. So, this isn't a scientific exploration here. It's just a basic observation. This theory of the fall of Atlantis, Plato is the one who basically, popularized the concept. And the interesting thing is that Plato said, based on, wherever he got his information, that the fall of Atlantis occurred 9,000 years before him. Plato was around in 500 BC. 9,000 years before him would be 9,500 BC. That's exactly the time frame that the authors of this book determined, and they determined this date based on radiocarbon dating. So all of this various evidence that they compiled, including the remains of mammoths and saber-toothed tigers and everything, and all kinds of other stuff. In the back of the book is a long list of footnotes. The average radiocarbon dating pointed to that exact date of 9,500 BC, and so that's a rather fascinating coincidence. Just sort of pondering the possibilities here. Could this right here be more evidence of a worldwide cataclysm that corresponds with the fall of Atlantis? Who knows? But I recommend checking out that book, Cataclysm. Also, another book from a completely different angle that's actually based on the evidence of that book is Catastrophobia by Barbara Hand Clow. I'll go ahead and put some information down below this video about both of those books. And it's more of a spiritual perspective of talking about the emotional effects that this event had on humanity, and how people around the world, our current civilizations are still sort of stuck in the fear that came about, and the distrust of the world that came about, and obsession with end of the world scenarios that resulted from this cataclysm, the fall of Atlantis, and how it's still affecting humanity today. So that's another one that's interesting to consider and worth reading. So I'll get another view of the rest of the mountains here. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.